the first thing I want to ask all of you is, first off, what made you decide to go on a gap program, and when did you decide to take one?
I can start it if you guys want. Okay, so I started like thinking about a gap year my freshman year of high school. I didn't really know what it was fully. But it kind of ended up my neighbor took one and I was like, what is that? Sat down with her. She explained it to me and I was like, I'm gonna do that. And so in May 2020, which was my junior year, I sat down and started the research and found EF and decided that I was totally gonna do it. And yeah.
That's great.
I can go next. I actually didn't decide until May of my senior year to take a gap year. So if you think you're starting late deciding, you're not. You have all the time in the world. I know people who didn't decide until July before we went to go. So don't worry, there's no rush. I just decided to go because I think it's really important to travel. I'd had people I knew from middle school take gap semesters and gap years, and they just had an amazing time. I think it's really important to travel by yourself without your parents. So getting that experience was really amazing.
So yeah, I honestly was like, I'm not taking gap year. I didn't think I was going to. I was like, I'm ready for college. And then I went to Villanova University, which is where I'm going next year for like the revisit day. And I was like, maybe I could take a year off. And so then I was like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do. So I wasn't completely sure. And then did research, found Pathfinder program, which was like exactly what I wanted to do. And I was like, okay, yep, I'm taking a gap year, like I'm doing it. And it was the hardest, but like best decision ever.
So I want to throw another question out at you guys. How did your friends and family react when you decided you wanted to take a gap semester?
My friends were shocked because I think at least at my school, a lot of people head straight to college. And so when I told them, I was like, hey guys, I'm not planning on headed straight there. They're very like, oh, that's an option. And I was like, yes, it is. And look into it. And then my family was very like, yeah, you should do that. You need a break. You're burnt out. Like, yeah. So it was a mixed reaction for sure.
For me, like my parents were very adamant about me taking it. Like they really wanted me to go and take a gap semester. And as for my friends, like as Kelly said, everyone was just surprised that it was an option. I feel like it's not very known that you can go and do this. So I think they're all just surprised. But this whole semester, they were texting me saying, like, I wish I was doing what you were doing. Like your life seems so cool. I wish I was there. So they all were like just very supportive.
That's actually also what I was going to say in my personal experience. I remember when I told my friends I was going to take an EF gap semester, they kind of weren't really sure about what that looked like. And then, once you miss syllabus week and then it gets into the nitty gritty of studying and tests and exams, the two situations, it's pretty easy to compare, traveling around the world or studying for a final. Anna, was your experience similar?
Yeah, I mean, my dad has always wanted me to take one. I was like, no. But then my mom was like, whatever you want, like it's fine. But then I kind of listened to him and I was like, maybe I should. And yeah, my friends were like shocked. I mean, not many people from my high school took gap year. I think like 2 of us total. But yeah, it was like what John said. I mean, like we were still kind of here waiting to leave for our program and everyone was heading back to college and I was like, oh, like that part was like, did I make the right decision? But then because everyone was like syllabus week, they're all having fun. And then as soon as that ended and we started and launched our program, I was like, yeah, no, it was a good decision. Everyone was texting me. So
I definitely agree with that. Now, I want to ask you guys, did you know what you were looking to get out of the GAP program before you signed up? I ask that because what were your intentions going into it? And did that change at all when the trip finalized?
I feel like going into it, I was hoping just like basically I was like, okay, I'll get better at a language and maybe I'll get some good like internship experience, like kind of just very base level things. And then as I like kept going with the experience, I was like, oh, I'm becoming more self-confident, more self-assured. I'm making these lifelong friends. And so my like goals of like what I wanted the year to be shifted as I was going throughout the year, which was definitely a surprise, but I liked it.
Yeah, for me, I think I definitely went into it just wanting to gain more self-confidence, and get better perspective about the world, and I think I definitely got that a lot, like, more so than I thought. It really opened up my eyes and forced me to be really independent and rely on myself. But I also was just learning so much every single day. Like, we would come home and just discuss all the things we saw and learned, and it was just crazy how much information we were getting every day, and that was really cool, just learning so much. And I'll say again, like the friendships were also like a huge plus that everyone I met, I just loved so much.
Yeah, I agree with what both Kelly and Sophie said. Like, I don't know, I just wanted to explore, really step out of my comfort zone. I think a part of the reason all my friends were shocked I took a gap year was because I'm not a very adventurous person. And so, yeah, I just needed to step out of my comfort zone and I needed that like push. And I did it I stepped way out of my comfort zone and like much more than I thought I would. And it's like, I'm so happy for it. And yeah, I saw so much, explored so much, made like the best friendships ever. Like I will be talking to these people for like the rest of my life. So
I love
it's
that.
great.
Now, I want to ask you guys because some of you had different kind of influences regarding, taking a gap. And so how did you all navigate that research and planning process when you were looking at your options?
I had heard about EF from my school before. My school, like, they use them for a lot of school trips. And so I looked at it and just thought, oh, wow, like, this is pretty cool. But then I did start to look like just online at other things, but always came back to EF. And that's when I kind of realized, like, yeah, I'll do this one.
Sophie, Anna, was
For
similar for you?
Yeah, for me, I just kind of was just doing research. I just typed in gap year programs and just kind of went through all of them. And I was actually pretty sat on another program when I'd heard about EF, and I immediately just switched to EF because I was like, this is everything I want. Like the second I saw the program, I was like, that's perfect for me. It was just an immediate fit.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I didn't really know if I wanted to take gap year. And then my mom actually found the program. Not sure how she really stumbled upon it, but I assume by like researching online. And it was like the first program I found. And I was like, this is it. I didn't even like look at other ones. I was like, this is the one. So
And now with the program in particular that you visited, what was the kind of reasoning behind, Anna and Sophie choosing the Pathfinder program in particular?
For me, I really liked the Pathfinder just because of how many countries we went to, and they're all so different. Like we went to Iceland and then Italy. Like those are completely different places and you're getting completely different things out of them. So I really liked the idea of just seeing so many different unique places where we're getting so much out of it. And I really liked that the Pathfinder was a semester long because I felt that I could go and explore and then find my bearings and decide from there what I wanted to do.
yeah, I think I wanted like a mix of education and travel, and that's exactly what Pathfinder gave me. So, I mean, we went 10 different cities, like we went everywhere and learned so much. So, yeah.
And Kelly, I'll throw it to you now. How did you choose? What was the research or kind of your influences choosing behind your program?
Yeah, so I did language in Malaga, Spain, and the reason I chose Malaga is because I had never heard of it. And I was like, oh, I should go somewhere new. And then I did Costa Rica for my service trip. And I had been to Costa Rica before, so then I had the somewhere new, and then I had the somewhere familiar. And then I chose Stockholm, Sweden for my internship, just because it's just such kind of a random place and somewhere new that I had never heard of. And I also I used the EF advisors a lot and talked through it with them a lot to try to figure out what would be a good fit for me. And that's my plan, is like kind of what we decided on. So just use your advisors is what I would say for that.
That's great.
Mhm.
And now I want to talk more about, the friendships that we were kind of alluding to before. Tell me, what were you guys feeling kind of, before the program? Were you nervous about making friends? What was that like, kind of the first couple days, first couple weeks? Talk me through where you guys were at.
Yeah, I feel like the first couple days, I think everybody was pretty nervous for like making friends. Everybody, you could tell there's energy in the air where everybody was a little bit, oh, I don't know, like feeling the vibes. But we all clicked like right away. We had 3 different cohorts, in my cohort, the green group. We all clicked right away, and it was a good vibe. So I would say you can't struggle to make friends because everybody's thrown in the same boat. And so you're just gonna find even just one person who you'll click with.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with Kelly on that. I can be kind of reserved when I meet people, so I was pretty worried about that, but everybody was, and we were all just forced to sit at a table and talk to each other. And like the first 3 days in Boston were a little bit like that, like uneasy in the air. And then the first day on the trip, like everybody's bonded, everybody's talking to each other. And our group was actually also called Green Group, which is funny, but our green group bonded so much by the end of the trip. Like we were all crying, saying goodbye because our entire group was just so close. So I wouldn't worry about making friends because I think every single person in our group found someone in the end, or a group that they liked.
Yeah, and everyone's like on the trip for the same reason. Like, I think that's something that connects everyone, is they all chose the same places and the same program. So that's one way to start forming a friend trip, is like bonding over that. And yeah, finding friends was definitely, I mean, it was like uneasy in the beginning, like, but everyone bonded so well. Like I remember our we arrived in Iceland and we had a bus ride to Reykjavik, and we were all just like blasting music at 7 a.m, like just singing and vibing, having fun. And this was 4 days after knowing like 30 people. So yeah, it did not take long.
I personally like to think of myself as a pretty social person. And of course, and every time you are in these new unfamiliar environments, it's nerve-wracking. And I remember personally kind of realizing that, wait, okay, everyone else also doesn't know anyone here. There's kind of some relief in knowing that, you are not alone in the kind of emotions that you are feeling. And Kelly, I want to ask you a question. Having taken a gap year and now being in college, how do you think it played a role in your college experience?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think having the gap year really just elevated my self-confidence and my just willingness to try new things, and kind of learning how to experience new things is a really big thing that's part of the gap year. So arriving to college and like being away from home for not the first time for me, and being able to make friends, like again, like it kind of just felt like a routine almost, like I was just picking up where I left off in the gap year. So it's been a pretty good transition, and I think you use a lot of the social skills as well as just like awareness skills in college that you pick up on the gap year. So it's been good.
And would you say it has like influenced any of your interests in college at all?
For sure. I'm in, we have, it's called a freshman year independent group here. And I started it's called Globalizing Education. So we focus on a bunch of different global aspects of education, and my gap year experiences I've been able to tie into the class. I write a lot of papers with it. Like it's very helpful and it connects to a lot. So
I love that. And I also feel like, reflecting on my own college experience, coming out of high school, not knowing what that transition into college is like, having taken a gap year and meeting, hundreds of new people from all over the world, it kind of made college a little bit easier for me. I'm not sure if you can
yes.
relate to that.
No, totally. Gap year is like college on steroids. Like it's like you're thrown into it, and then you come to college and you're like, oh, okay.
Piece of
Like
cake.
it's good. Yeah.
And now, Anna and Sophie, I want to ask you guys. You guys just got back. Everything is so fresh. What's it like being home?
It's really weird, honestly. The first few days were really good, just catching up with family and friends. We got back the day after Thanksgiving, so that was really nice to just celebrate the holidays. But I think after that, it kind of sunk in for all of us that we're like, well, shoot, like we're not actually going back, especially since we did the semester. Like there is no second semester for us. So that was kind of like a hard reality to face, just to realize that. But I think it definitely has motivated me at home to do more and see more, just like in my town, that I wouldn't have necessarily done had I not gone on the program. But it's been good. It's just another adjustment. We talked about reverse culture shock, and that's definitely a reality.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like the first 2 days were really nice catching up. And then it definitely sunk in. I know, I mean, like we call each other just like we're so sad. But I mean, at the end of the day, like we made friendships for life and we'll put in the effort and see each other. And, you know, maybe we can travel again in the future together and plan our own trips and all that. But yeah, reverse culture shock is a thing, but it's definitely manageable. It's just an adjustment. It's another challenge to overcome and just you learn more about yourself. So another learning experience.
Totally. And I'd love to also hear, because this is so fresh and you guys just came back, you know, how, if you can remember, how you felt, personally about yourself before you departed on this program and now returning, how did you see growth?
For me, I would say like I think I was really just unsure of myself before I left, and I didn't have a ton of trust in myself. And I think now I really have a lot of trust in myself, my ability to do things, and I know that I can overcome challenges a lot more now. And I also just have confidence to be able to like plan my life and do things because I've seen so much, and I think now I feel like I have so many more options in life, and so many more paths I can take.
Yeah, I think I grew in majority of us grew in so many different ways. Like we had to learn how to use the transportation in so many different cities and we all got it. We just learned so much about ourselves and we became so independent and just grew in so many different ways. That's just like it's amazing to like reflect on myself and my friends in the background, reflect and see what I was like back in September compared to now.
Definitely. And I know we're speaking a lot on the highlights and, defining moments in the program, but I also would like for you guys to touch a little bit on the moments you struggled. Did it take a while to kind of find your groove, or, was there a moment where things, felt like they finally clicked almost?
Yeah, for me, I think it took me a while to get to that clicking moment that you're talking about. Like I like first couple days in Boston was like crying to Anna saying like I want to go home because I was just so unsure about what was in front of me. But we all have kind of like everyone in our Pathfinder group has talked about how Paris and Berlin, they were in the middle of our trip. They were all kind of pivotal moments for us because it was the middle of our trip and the beginning part has kind of worn off where you're excited and it's really real and it's happening and you still have second half of the trip to go. And I think everybody got kind of down and was just feeling really burnt out. But I think after that, like everybody kind of realized they're like, okay, we only have this much left. We all really have to enjoy every moment and really like, kick in and see as much as we can. So I think just the reality of how little time we had left really made me like appreciate it more.
Definitely.
I think homesickness is like a real thing and everybody experiences it in very different ways at different times. For me, it was during my service module, which was like the second half of my first semester. I was just like, it was Thanksgiving. I was just ready to go home. I was just like, I can't do it. But like, I think having everybody else around me really helped. And we all kind of worked together to push each other through and kind of just get through it. And then kind of when it all clicked and I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a good decision. And this was the right decision is when we all met up after winter break for my gap year. We all got together in Ecuador and it was like perfect. Felt like I was coming home to my family. So yeah, I feel like the connections with people just really push you through.
Yeah, I think like the support around you is really useful. Like everyone wants the best for each other. And, you know, I would sometimes motivate my friends to be like, come on, like, let's go explore today. And sometimes they do that for me. Like burnout was definitely a thing. And so was homesickness, like Kelly. And I experienced homesickness like middle of the trip, not in the beginning. Um, I experienced it basically when I had some burnout. Um, and I think how I overcame it, I took time to myself. You know, didn't force myself to go and explore. I took a day to rest, watch some TV, relaxed, like a day or two, however long you really need. Some people use it to like journal, and there's just so many ways. It just depends on you. And then I relied on my friends and used them and their help because I knew they wanted the best for me. And so I was like, okay, let's go out, let's explore. I won't regret it. So yeah, I was like, I'm feeling homesick in Paris. Like, what? Like, I'm in Paris. So
There are worse problems.
yeah, exactly.
I kind of relate. I so urge everyone to kind of know your support systems, whether it be, you know, friends on the program or your family back home. And I always kind of took myself as someone who wouldn't get homesick. And I thought, you know, I'd be tough. And I always like telling a story where I was on FaceTime with my mom once. I think might have been like shaving in the mirror while I was talking with her. And she had said, oh, miss you, baby. And I was like, Mom, I gotta go. I hung up and I just started bawling my eyes out. It just kind of came all at once. So I think it's funny to hear like when everyone's kind of roller coaster emotional journey kind of comes. So I appreciate you guys speaking on that. And I also want to hear, you know, how did you guys learn to utilize different kind of strategies like those support systems? Have you, you know, kind of inputted that into your regular life back home as well? You know, the tools and the tips and tricks that you've learned, the insight that you gained, how have you applied that back home?
A big thing for my cohort is we all would journal together. Like we go sit on, like if we're in Costa Rica, we go sit on a beach, Malaga, we go wherever, like, and just take time out of our day to like just write down how we feel. And I've continued that like as I've gone into college. I think it's just a really good thing to do. Also just like having some of your best friends you're traveling with, having that support to go and talk to them. I still will text them and be like, just having a bad day and I need to talk to you. And then we'll all FaceTime and just like, you just build the connections up. And so I think keeping those connections after have really helped.
For me, I think a big thing I realized on my gap semester was the importance of reaching out, because for a long time I was just feeling everything I was feeling inside, and I realized everyone else around me was feeling it too. So just being able to talk to people around me was something that was really pivotal for me. And also journaling, as Kelly said, was huge. And that's also really fun now to go back and look at it, be like, oh my gosh, wow, like I look at these pictures and I think I was feeling this way, but then I read my journal and I was really feeling this way. So I think it's a cool thing in the moment to ground you, but also for later to just remind you.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely learn a lot about yourself, like we said before. And in one of the ways is like how you cope when you're down. And I learned alone time and also reaching out is like the best way for me to cope. So yeah, and now I'll, like Kelly said, like if I'm having a bad day at home, I'll text Sophie and I'll be like, Sophie, having a bad day, and we just like go have a rundown of our days. And yeah, it's just reaching out is really important. And once you overcome that fear of reaching out, like it becomes so much easier.
I agree. And Kelly, I kind of want to, you know, pivot a little bit more so towards the educational component with your language learning. And I want to ask, what was it like learning a language kind of immersed in the country versus, you know, learning a language in high school, you know, with someone who's most likely not a native speaker?
Yeah, I took Spanish in high school for 3 years and, you know, did fine in the class. I could spit out the vocab, whatever. And then I got to Spain and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know as much as I thought I did. But I've now realized that's the best way to learn, is just getting thrown into it. I lived with a host family, and as soon as the door closed the first day, I she like started speaking at me in Spanish. I was like, oh, you don't know English. I need to pick up the pace. And so yeah, I think it's the best way to learn. I think it's the best way for me to learn is just to get thrown into it. Highly recommend it. And just also it's one of those things where you can't be afraid to just speak, like you just need to try. And so that was pretty fun.
I can relate to that, Kelly. I studied 3 years of Italian in high school, and then I studied language in Rome with the host family. And I like to say the 3 years of Italian, I probably exhausted that in about 3 minutes with my host mom.
Yep.
You know, right
Yep.
when you're after the basic greeting and the ciao, come stai, or the hola, como estás, that is probably it. And you don't really know how to converse. So that was like a pretty
Yeah.
powerful moment for me.
Yes, same.
And Kelly, I also would like you to speak a little bit on your service and like what was daily life like when you're doing your service module?
Yeah, the service module was probably the most rewarding module out of all of them. You spend a lot of time with your group, which I thought was super fun. I was in Costa Rica, so we worked with a bunch of different nonprofits down there. We spent time in the rainforest, and then we would go to the beach and spend time doing beach cleanup. And then we would go into like the busy city of San Jose. So it was a little bit of everything. It was just the most rewarding time. You're just always working, and just spending time with your cohort. It was great. I liked it.
I saw a question in the chat that was kind of geared to Kelly, asking about the maturity gap between college freshman peers versus, you coming into college feeling a little more worldly. And if you had any trouble connecting with those peers, I'd also like to extend that to Anna and Sophie, kind of in that reverse culture shock, as we mentioned. How's it been like connecting back with your hometown friends who hasn't done that? Kelly, I'd like you to answer.
Yeah, sure. I don't think it's been that big of a deal. It sometimes I'll like say something and I'll be like, oh, when I was in like Paris, and they'll all look at me like, okay, this girl's a little, and I'm like, okay. But I don't think it's been a super big shift in like how I interact with people. If anything, I think it's helped just because I can relate to different experiences more with different people. So yeah, I think it is what you make it. And I think if you take on your experiences in a certain way that you kind of use it to help yourself, then I think it's a good thing. But I could see how it could be a little bit. I am older, like I'm gonna turn 20 soon and everybody's 18 and I'm like, okay. But I think it's a good thing overall.
For me, it's been really interesting just connecting with all my friends because actually this week they're all coming back from college and I'm seeing them for the first time pretty much. And it's definitely a little bit weird, like telling them my stories versus like hearing theirs. Like I never want to sound like braggy or anything, so I definitely try to like walk that fine line. But and the end of the day, I feel like we're all living similar experiences in different places. So I think it's not as hard as you'd think to connect with people at the end of the day because we were all feeling the same things just in different places.
Yeah, and I remember it was like one of our last days and we were doing our wrap up and John, actually our student life coordinator, had this conversation with us about how sometimes people just don't really care about like your program, and that is okay. Like if I was in their position, like I kind of, like Sophie said, sometimes it can come across like you're bragging or all of that, but obviously, so like I usually just answer the questions that are asked towards me and ask my peers and my friends like how their college experience is going. I mean, we're all making new friends and we're all gaining new experiences just in different ways. So I think that's a way that I've been connecting with my hometown friends for sure, and just like talking more about that and like obviously answering the questions if they have any, but it's definitely not challenging. You just have to be a little aware, but that's about it.
I definitely agree with that point where your emotions kind of mimic the same emotions that college students might face, right? You were really excited those first couple of weeks, and then you hit that kind of crash, and then you get back up, you find your groove, and then it's hard saying goodbye. And I think those feelings can resonate with everyone. And I'd also want to kind of extend this question to all of you. It was a question in the chat asking if your EF experience changed your decision about your college choice. maybe did it change your decision about your college choice, or maybe a college major or something you wanted to study? Did that influence anything?
Yeah, I deferred from UW-Madison in my senior year. I knew I wanted to stay going here. If anything, it kind of solidified the fact like I was away from home for so long, and I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is like an hour and a half away. So it was good. But definitely I went into my gap year undecided about my major, and then I went out of it with a major. So I'm working on international studies right now. So it's just like it's pretty it just helped me kind of like pick what path I wanted to go on in college.
Yeah, for me, and before my gap semester, I was set on going to Colorado State for my freshman year in 2022. And then after deciding to do my gap semester, I decided that next semester I'm going to a college in the mountains just so I can have more freedom and more time to experience sort of a gap semester again type of thing, but where I could just be in the mountains and ski and do what I love, but also be getting college credit. So that kind of changed that for me. And then also in terms of majors, when we were in London, we had a lot of focus on business, and we had a day at the whole business school, and that really made me want to go into business more, and it just made me more excited about that. So I think that definitely added to that.
I think for me, it like helped me gain so much knowledge in so many different things. And it helped me realize that I am excited to go to university here, but I'm also like, I know I want to do like a year abroad or semester abroad again. And it kind of like solidified that for me. In terms of my major, it didn't change my major because I'm a psychology major. I just love psychology, but it definitely like made me interested in so many other things. So now I'm excited to take classes, like business classes, like Sophie said. And
Love hearing that. And we are nearing the end of our time here. So I just want to also give you guys a chance to give some last departing advice for students maybe deciding about whether a gap year is right for them. Any advice you would give them?
I think talking it through with your parents and friends is super important if you're kind of on the fence of if you think you should go or not. And also just take some time to yourself to kind of do some self-reflection. College is a really big decision, a gap year is a really big decision, or whatever you are doing after high school, just anything. It's just take your time with it, for sure. And then also go into it with an open mind. I think that was the biggest thing for me, that really helped, is that I just didn't have a lot of expectations, and that ended up being great. And yeah, so just take your time with it.
Yeah, I would definitely say the same thing. As much as I would love to say, like, go do it, like, you have to do it, it's not for everyone. You're going all the time. So I think just really sitting down and analyzing, like, is this something that I really think I can do? Because as much as like I loved it, it might not be for you, but I would recommend it to like anyone I meet. I would also say, like Kelly did, just being super open-minded really helped me. And Anna and I would say this like basically every morning, like, when is the last time I'm going to be in this city? When is the last time I'm going to be seeing these things? So going into every day with that mentality really helped me to make the most out of everything.
yeah, I agree with what they both said. And I think the thing that really pushed me to take a leap of faith was I can, if I take a gap year and it doesn't turn out to be the best year, then that's okay. But I still am going to college. But if I don't and I go to college, then I won't have that gap year experience. So like taking a gap year, you get both experiences, and maybe the year isn't the best year of your life, but at least you know that, and at least like you experienced that. So that really helped me make my decision. It's like, okay, it's not the end of the world if I don't have the best time. Thankfully I did. But I think that really helped me and like pushed me to make my decision. But like they both said, I mean, if you just reflect and if you really don't think it's for you, then that's okay. But definitely think about what I just said.
I think you guys all touched on such amazing points, and we are nearing the end of our time here. So I just want to thank you all again for being here and taking time out of your day to kind of share your stories. I think it helped a lot of people here in our audience. So with that said, hope you guys feel free to stay connected with me in the future. I can't wait to hear more about your stories, and thank you.